Hey, it's your girl Nicole, and welcome back to another episode of the Risers Hub podcast, where wellness, empowerment, and personal growth live. I'm back after a 2-week break with the time change, everything that's going on in the news, family and friend situations, and just being a human being. It's just been so rough in the past couple of weeks. But seriously, though, I just started training for a half marathon about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And like I said, with the time change and with the news and the stress in the world, it's just been hard to move in a way that I've moved before. But I think this is the first week where I feel a little bit back to normal. I wish that our country could get back to normal, whatever that was. But I'm trying to be there for people who need me. And I'm cat sitting at the moment, so hopefully that'll end soon. I love my grand cat, but at the same time, I'm not a cat person. So if you're out there and you're a cat person, God bless you. I'm just used to being on my own and doing my own thing, coming and going. My kids left the home about 5 or 6 years ago, so it's been a challenge in the past couple of weeks. So I had to let a few things go and focus on things that were a little bit more important, which of course is my family. And running is a release for me. But since I decided to go on a training plan as far as the running part and the strength part, it has challenged me to really get back in shape. And so this is the first week I've actually felt normal, whatever that means. But I don't even want to say normal. I want to say I feel stronger. And in the previous podcast, I talked about a 40-day fast that I was a part of that my church did. And that was a challenge alone. But what I found out after getting out of that fast and moving into my training is that that fast made me stronger. And and no one told me to do it. The main reason why I wanted to do that fast is because every single day for 40 days, the pastor who was leading this fast, he would get on the phone with us every single morning at 7 a.m. And I wanted to hear the word for 40 days. And what was interesting about that is that before this fast came about, like I'm just like everybody else. I have a wellness coach, I have a therapist, I have people that I talk to. And I was about to do some extreme therapy for something I'm working through. And I was on the fence about it because it involved getting on medication or something like that. And I'm not one to take a lot of medication. I decided to do this fast and I wanted to see a major shift in my life. And so that brought me to today's podcast. I want to talk about deliberate change. And you're probably wondering, what is the difference between deliberate change and regular change? Well, wanting to change is a desire or wish for something to be different. It involves recognizing the need for change, but it does not necessarily involve taking steps towards it. You just want to change. For example, someone may want to be healthier, but really not do much about it. But deliberate change is intentional in its plan, and it involves actively making decisions and taking steps to create change. For example, setting goals, making a plan, and adjusting behavior to achieve the desired outcome is deliberate change. And so I know that on this podcast, we talk about goal setting, we talk about action steps. And I want to make something very clear. It's one thing to want to change, it's another thing to make a deliberate change. And you're going to hear the word deliberate a lot throughout this podcast. And so when I'm talking about deliberate change, you know when you are going to make a change, and I'm saying going to, not want to, when you're going to make a change, you know that it's going to take you outside your comfort zone. It's going to make you mentally make decisions intentionally, and it's not going to be easy. And you go into it knowing that. So that's what I mean by deliberate change. Now, the 40-day fast for me was a deliberate change. It was a choice. And I knew it was going to be hard. And what was nice about this particular fast is he knew that usually something lasts maybe a week, at most 21 days, but he wanted us to go 40 days to see significant difference in our life. And I have to tell you, I was I saw a significant difference, and not just by pure willpower, but when it came down to eating beans and rice and a couple of salad leaves, I I saw myself in a way where I let me give you an example. Let me slow down. There was at one point I had to travel out of town, and I think I was 30 something days into this. And we were invited out for dinner in this fancy restaurant in New York. We go to the dinner, everybody orders what they want. There were burgers and fries and steak, pasta, and all this other stuff. And they had two things on the menu that were vegan, which was like this salad and the sauteed mushrooms. So I'm looking at everybody's plates throughout the restaurant, and everything had this gorgeous appeal to it. That's why I love to go out and eat. I just love the whole experience. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to ditch the salads. That's basically what I'm living off now. And I'm going to do the mushrooms because they're sauteed in olive oil and sea salt. And I can deal with that. So everybody gets their plates. Everything looks fantastic. I get my sauteed mushrooms and they don't look anything like I thought they would. I was like, I was ticked off about it. So I went ahead and I ate the sauteed mushrooms. And let me tell you, I was sick all night. But I woke up the next day and got myself together and I got back on my diet and I was fine. And I was really proud of myself because I was tempted. Like I could have easily said, "You know what? Just this one time I'm going to do this." And I didn't do it. And I was stronger for it. Now, during this fast, I was also moving into my half marathon training. I wasn't fully into it because I didn't want to either get injured or get sick or mess with my immune system since I wasn't eating the normal foods that I normally eat. But I learned that I could get protein through like peanuts and beans and natural things as opposed to just like a powder. So I moved into that and everything worked out really well. So it was challenging. It was hard. It tested my willpower, but I was able to get through it. And once I was able to get through that weekend, like I had 10 more days left and I felt like, okay, I could totally do this now. So I got through it and I made it and I knew it was going to be hard. I knew I was going to be challenged and I knew I had to make a decision that I had to make tough decisions throughout those last few weeks because I would travel, hanging out with friends, doing all these different things, and it involved food. Now, along with this fast, there were also other things like there was a financial fast, there was a social media fast, there was a text messaging fast, there were phone call fasts. Like everything had to be intentional. There had to be a purpose behind it. And so when I got out of this fast, I wanted to make sure that I shared my experience with my audience because when you want change, that's one thing. But when you have deliberate change, that's another thing. And I really believe that with the Risers Hub, that is what I'm talking about. Like, we want deliberate change. And when we want deliberate change, that's when we build the goals and we have the action steps to follow. Because a goal is a goal, it's just going to sit there, but it can move once you have those action steps. So today, I hope that wasn't too long, but today I want to share 5 key things that I've learned through deliberate change. And I want you to think about what I'm telling you because this podcast is not about me. I'm still working through some things from the fast and from the half marathon training. And when I say that, what's interesting about the 40-day fast is the first instinct that you have, I can't have this. Maybe I can do this. If I can't have that, maybe I can do something else. And then when you start trying to substitute something for something you can't have, you're building another habit. and that habit may not be good. So I'm still working through that because I built a couple habits that I'm like, how did I get here? And now I know how I got there. While I was trying to build good habits, I was creating small little bad habits that weren't intentional but snuck in, and so now I'm trying to break those. So it's an ongoing thing. Your wellness journey is an ongoing thing. And so I just want to share these 5 key things that I learned through deliberate change. That was actually 1, so it's going to be 6. Okay, so number 1, when there is deliberate change, usually someone is no longer okay with how their life is going. So when I started this, like I told you before, I wanted that 40-day word from our pastor. That's what I wanted. And I got it. And that was the one thing out of the entire fast I was on top of. Even if I was out running, I had him on my I had him in my ears listening as I was running. What I was looking for out of this 40-day fast was to be stronger mentally, more productive, and more intentional about every single thing that I do. For the most part, my life is like that, but there are people who are performing at such a high level, and the people that I have started surrounding myself with are performing at such a high level. I want to be on that high level with them, and I believe that this 40-day challenge and this half marathon training, following a plan is going to help me get there. And so I was no longer okay with how I was living my life. I got comfortable. Okay. So there comes a moment when you realize you want more for yourself. That's what happened to me. I knew I wanted to be stronger, more disciplined, and more fulfilled. And that wasn't going to happen by staying comfortable. If you're feeling restless, unfulfilled, or like something is missing, it might be time for deliberate change. And it starts by making a decision that I'm ready for something different. You could be in a room and you're so frustrated with your life or you're so frustrated with yourself that you're just like, I have to figure out how I need to change. Don't figure it out. Start moving. So even though you have a goal, that's great, but focus on those action steps. That's where the deliberate change is going to happen. All right. So number 1 is you are no longer okay with how your life is going. Number 2, you can do hard things even when you don't want to. And let me tell you something. The 40-day fast, it started out with no sugar, no caffeine. Everything else was fine. Okay. So I was like, no, I'm sorry, not sugar, but no sweets, which is the same thing. No sweets and no caffeine. And then everything else was the same. But as we moved week to week, there was more and more things taken away. So like dairy was taken away. And then social media, like I said, was taken away. Television streaming was taken away. And so that's when it got real. Okay. And that's when it was really scary. What am I going to do without my Netflix? But you know what? I was fine. I didn't stream anything. But the bad habit that I was telling you that I had developed was I post online for the Risers Hub, but then other things kept getting in the way, and I had to stop myself and put the phone down and walk away. And so every single time I did that, every single time I got on social media and I saw myself spiraling into that hole, because we all do it. We all do it. They have algorithms to get us hooked onto these apps and stuff. So once I saw myself doing that, I literally put my phone down. I would go and read an affirmation or a verse or something, and then I would go and make myself do something else, like immediately. So fasting for 40 days was not easy. Training for a half marathon is definitely not easy. But what kept me going was focusing on the end result. So I knew that if I got through the 40-day fast, I was going to be more productive and stronger mentally. And I also know that when I'm done with this training and the half marathon comes up in about 4 weeks, I'm going to be more prepared for this half marathon than I've ever been in the 30 something odd years I've been running. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, I say that when I was in high school and college, I was always ready for my races. I did go to practice, I did do the training. But once I started running on my own, I was like, oh, I'll just run this, run that, throw in a long run here, and then go do this and go do that, and then throw a long run in here. And I would suffer so bad after my half marathons or my 10Ks because I'd go out there and run my heart out, and then I couldn't walk the next day. So my goal is to be able to run a fantastic half marathon and be able to walk the next day and be ready for another one in a couple of weeks. So that's my goal. There were days I definitely wanted to quit, especially during that fast. There were days I was extremely grumpy. I was not a nice person. I didn't want to talk to people. And there were days I questioned my choices in life. But again, I learned that I am stronger than my excuses. And so I want you to understand that too. You are stronger than the excuses that you're telling yourself. You have to keep your eye on the goal and not the struggle. And that sentence alone, let me backtrack. Because again, my words are very intentional. Keep your eyes on the goal and not the struggle. The process is what people call the struggle. And we only call it the struggle because we are challenged to go outside of our comfort zone. We are challenged to do things that we don't like doing. And so we call it a struggle. I want you to use a different word than struggle. I want you to use the word process. So keep your eyes on the goal. And I'm going to tell you, while you're in the process, focus on the things that you don't like to do and keep doing those things. So when you come out of that, you're stronger and you're a better person. And then it'll come easier for you when you're challenged again in life. Because even though you're deliberately going through change, there's going to be something that's going to come into your life that's going to challenge you even more. And you be like, what's happening right now? You have the resources because you've been challenged before. So don't forget that. So number one is you are no longer okay with how your life is going. Number two, you can do hard things even when you don't want to. And number three, we finally got to number three because I know I rattled off a lot. Number three, not everyone will understand your journey. So when you make a deliberate change, you have to understand that there are going to be people who are going to be 100% behind you. You stick with those people. And there's going to be other people who are going to judge you. And the people who judge you will surprise you because they could be some of your closest friends. They could be your family members. They could even be someone that you look up to. But if you truly believe in what you're doing, and this deliberate change is truly going to make you a better, stronger person, you need to be your own fan. Because if they don't understand, they're not going to help you get to the next level. Having said that, your journey is your journey. You're making this deliberate change because it's your life. No one's telling you to do this. No one should be telling you to do this. Doing it because you want to. Okay. I'm going to keep moving. Okay. Because I can go on and for each point, and then like you guys are like, what is she talking about? All right. So number 4, you have to want change for yourself. That goes back to what I just said. You have to want this for yourself. Nobody else can push you into true change. Nobody. It's like going to the doctor and you have a habit of eating burgers every day or french fries, whatever it is, okay? The doctor tells you that you need to change the way that you eat because it's not healthy for you the way that you're eating now. This is merely an example, okay? You could be going to the doctor. This is for these athletes out here. And the doctor tells you, if you keep running or you keep doing this particular move or you keep doing blah, 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 you won't be able to do it again later on in life. But you love your sport so much, you love your burger so much that when you leave that doctor, you're like, I made it this far, I can keep going. So I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. The doctor told you exactly what you shouldn't be doing. He showed you what you should not be doing and why. But you leave that office doing exactly what you want to do. So that's a perfect example of how people can't change because someone told them to. You have to want it. If you're only making changes because someone else suggested it, it's not going to stick. Now, for me, these challenges were personal. They were about proving to myself that I could commit, stay disciplined, and come out stronger. I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm all over the place. Okay. I am really all over the place. And I'm trying to hone in some of that stuff because it's beginning to affect my life to me in a negative way. You have to make sure that your decision is not just external pressure, but it comes from within. And for me, it came from within. And there are moments where in this process, I have to slow down, I have to sit down, and I have to make logical decisions on how something's going to affect my life and other people's lives before I move forward. Okay, so number one, you are no longer okay with how your life is going. Number two, you can do hard things even when you don't want to. Number three, not everyone will understand your journey. Number four, you have to want change for yourself. And number five, the time you invest in change creates a lasting impact. The most beautiful part of this journey, once you push yourself through deliberate change, you don't stop there. That's back to what I was saying earlier. This fast was 40 days and it's extreme, but 40 days, doing something for 40 days really can create new habits, a new lifestyle. 21 days can definitely create change, but 40 days teaches you how to sustain it. So, part of this half marathon training that's really hard for me is that um, you have these long runs during the weekend. And then during the week, you have, before I was doing 3 and 4 and 5 miles here and there, but 3 days out of the week, you are literally running 7 miles, 5 miles, 7 miles, and then cross training. Like it just keeps going. And I'm used to like running every other day. Let me just do 3 miles because I don't feel like doing the 7 miles and I'll make it through it. But this time, because I'm trying to follow it, I'm having to do 7 miles one day, 6 miles the next day, another 7 miles the other day, and then cross training. And it's been hard getting up. I don't want to move. I think that I've made the wrong choices in life. But I'm in week 4 or 5 right now, and I feel amazing. I'm not through the entire training yet, but I have picked up some of my eating habits from my 40-day fast, which has been making me stronger. I haven't lost any weight, which is fantastic for me. And this morning, just this morning, I was able to get up and do some cross training after a day of running a 12-mile run the day before. And it was supposed to be an easy run, which it was. But the time that I clocked for my easy run was amazing because I am building these habits. I believe in the program. I'm around people who keep telling me, Nicole, you can do this. Stop complaining or stop thinking that this is going to be hard. You can do it. So I'm pushing through. I didn't just go back to old habits. After finishing this half marathon training, I know I'll be looking for my next challenge. And I know that I will be able to do it because these last two challenges I've deliberately put myself through have been hard. They are life changing, and I'm loving the results. So, through this deliberate change, it's also about developing the mindset to keep growing and going no matter what. All right, we're going to go back really quick. Number one, let's go back. You are no longer okay with how your life is going. Number two, you can do hard things even when you don't want to. Number three, not everyone will understand your journey. And number four, you have to want to change for yourself. And number five, the time you invest in change creates a lasting impact. And let me add one more thing to that number five. If you want to expose yourself to deliberate change, I'm going to tell you to challenge yourself for 21 days. 21 days. Now, if you're serious about change and you want to see it last, I would go for the 40. And normally I like to break things down. Let's do 2 weeks here and 4 weeks there. But when it comes to deliberate change, let's start with 21 days. And if you're serious about it, go 40. And I guarantee if you go 40, it's going to last you past that 40. You are going to pick up really good habits that you learned in those 40 days, and you're going to implement it into your life. Now, final thoughts. Change is hard, but it's worth it. If there's anything I've learned in the past 10 years of my life, because I've gone through a lot of different changes, it is hard as fudge, but it is worth it. I look back and I am very proud of myself. And let me tell you something, for me to even make the statement that I'm very proud of myself is a lot, because I've had to have people remind me of the things I had to go through to get to where I am now. So change is hard, but it's worth it. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Change is also tough. You will be tempted. You will want to quit. People, situations, and even your own doubts will try to hold you back. But you have to keep going, even if the steps that you're taking are small. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. And if the support isn't there, this is what you need to do. Pray, meditate, believe in yourself so deeply that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, okay? Again, believe in yourself so deeply that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, and keep pushing forward. Now, after the 40-day challenge, and I've gone through 4 weeks of training with the half marathon training, I think I have 6 more weeks to go. I think 5 or 6 more weeks to go. I really do wake up every single day full of excitement about what's going to happen next. I know, like, I have my regular day-to-day things, my repetitive stuff, but there's more to my day-to-day. And I'm happier, I'm more productive. And even though anxiety still exists because the news still exists and our current state of being is still exists, my strength to handle it is far greater than it was before. So I don't have to always listen to the news. I don't always have to listen to people arguing on TV or watching something on television that's not going to serve me. Everything that I'm doing right now is intentional, and it's making me a lot more productive in what I want. So I'm looking forward, and I'm excited every single day that I get up. So, risers, let me leave you with this. You can do hard things. You've done them before. You may not think you've done them before, but you've done them before. You will push through days when you don't feel like it. If you can remember anything from this podcast, when you have those hard days and it's hard to push through it, remember, you will push through days when you don't feel like it, because Nicole said. And when you do, you'll walk away with a strength and confidence that no one can take from you. Now, are you ready to expose yourself to deliberate change? Because trust me, it's worth it. Try 21 days. Try 40 days. If you need help, you can email me at hello@therisershub.com. I'll be more than happy to help. Okay, that's it for today's episode. If you resonated with any of this, please share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And as always, subscribe and share. And if you're on your own journey of change, please DM me. I would love to hear about it. And until next time, keep rising. You got this. Hey, thanks for tuning in. To learn more about the Risers Hub, check us out at therisershub.com or follow us on Instagram or TikTok at The Risers Hub. This podcast is meant for both education and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so it's crucial to consult your physician, psychotherapist, or qualified health professionals. Until next time, and as always, take care and keep rising. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share. I mean, that's what they told me to say. So can you hook a girl up? Thanks. Bye.